Yo everybody, what's up? EBM here, just doing the classic patch note review for patch 420. It's lit, ha ha ha. Just had to make the obligatory cringe joke or whatever, but same old stuff. I'm gonna have to be a little more, my apologies, but I'm gonna have to be a little bit more vague for some of this stuff because we have super regionals next week and I don't want to potentially say like some dumb shit, so for now, just normal stuff. So, skins updated with the Odyssey going on, you'll get a lot of cool skins, a lot more often, all that good stuff. So, you know, some Alquang stuff, Pixel Rush Evo, Super Chill Bacchus, I think all of these are part of the Odyssey. The Queen Afro and King Thor skins are part of the SWC loot pack, which is available this patch. That also has this Kernanos Convention 2018 Kernanos skin in it. I think it has like a Ward skin or something else, and a Recall skin, so you can see that stuff here as well. And then with the Odyssey getting updated, new quests, blah blah blah. Here's the loot pack, you know, just normal stuff. The loot pack is 1500 gems, by the way, so you maybe want to save that. And I don't know if I said, but this patch is today for PC and next week for console, all that good stuff. A few items got updated, just, you know, their just like their colors for some stuff, and then just like the item in general. Like Bancroft's got like a color update, kind of. I think it's like green now, whereas stuff like Soul Eater is basically a completely new item. Shoes got remodeled, stuff like that. So just nice cool stuff like that. This change, so under here in bug fixes, there are actually some like bug fixes that aren't really bug fixes but are gameplay changes, and one of them is this right here, which is any sort of channeled dash. So they list a lot of them here. Vamana's 3, Kuzenbo's 3, or Vamana's 1, Kuzenbo's 3, Erlang 3, Sun Wukong 3, Geb rollout, Chiron dash, all that type of stuff. Any channeled dash like that, there would be an inconsistency where if you were rooted in place and then you started casting your dash, some gods would ignore the root or cleanse the root and break it and continue dashing, and some gods would just sit there in place. And the gods that would sit there in place are all of these right here. So Geb rollout, Kuzenbo Slam, both of the Erlang Shen abilities, and then Wukong's Tiger. Wukong's Ox isn't here because that's root immune. So basically, you know, if you're playing like Geb versus Sylvanas or something like that and you were rooted, previously you wouldn't be able to roll away, and now you can roll away, so there's a lower chance of people blocking your rollout, that type of stuff. Just a small change, but it does change some interactions and some matchups. Kumba here, I think there's no other big gameplay changes, but Kumba's here, and Vamana's as well. Basically what this is when you would either Kumba Mez or Vamana Umbrella Ring people, if they beads the slow off of that ability, it would also beads away the attack speed slow. So now it'll only remove the movement speed slow, but the attack speed slow will stay persistent regardless of whether they use beads or not. So you can't beads off an attack speed slow from those abilities specifically. And yeah, that's just kind of that. Soul Eater, new item, so now we get into the actual, you know, normal stuff for the patch. So Soul Eater is a new item. You can see Bound Gauntlet has changed along with it. And it's 2400 gold, 30 Fizz power, 10 physical lifesteal, 10% CDR, completely new item, obviously nothing like the other one, or I would say its old iteration. And each time anything dies near you, so any minions, gods, any stuff like that, you gain a stack. So gods, large jungle monsters, jungle bosses, this means like Gold Fury and stuff, they provide 5 stacks. At 100 stacks, it evolves. You gain 20 more physical power, bringing this up to 50, and allowing your abilities to heal you for 10% of your damage dealt. So it's like an offensive version of Gladiators. It could be okay on like maybe some ability-based hunters, like maybe a Neath, or on some just, you know, general assassins that like to get in there and lifesteal and trade. Overall, it is significantly weaker than you might think. The heal effect is a very good one, and having power and CDR and lifesteal is very nice, but at 2400 gold and having a stacking mechanic, it's a rather delayed item, and I don't think it's better than stuff in the Mace tree, and I don't know if it's better than like you know, stuff in the Katana tree and all that good stuff. So for the most part, it's kind of an underwhelming item, but it could be good. Like, you might find later in your build it's really good because you should be able to get these stacks pretty quick, or, you know, maybe on certain gods it's good. But for the most part, I think Gladiator Shield is just, if you want to regen health and trade, it's just way better than this. Shield of Thorns, everyone's been whining about this nonstop, so of course they're going to change it. Personally, I didn't think it was too big a deal. In my opinion, just like as a quick TLDR for people who haven't paid attention to the whole Thorns debate, my stance on it was, I think the Reflect mechanic is one that I don't particularly think is good for the game, and I don't want to see expanded on, and I would actually just flat out like to see it pretty much removed, with the exception of like Hide of the Nemean line. I think items that are Reflect that you have to spend gold on are fine, but I'm not a fan of stuff like Kuzumbo 2 or Thorns, because you can pop it in CC, and the Reflect on it is so high. Like with Hide of the Nemean, you know when you press tab that if you auto attack them you take damage, and it's only like, you know, 20-25%, whatever it is, and it's just not that big of a deal. It's also post mitigations, I think. Pretty sure it's post mitigations as well on Nemean, whereas these are pre mitigations. So just not a fan of the Reflect mechanic, but I think they need to keep Thorns in the game for the time being until Season 5 or until major Hunter nerfs come, because Hunter items are just too broken. And moving on to that, you'll get Executioner, one of the major Hunter items. They just knock it down by, or I guess knock it up by 100 gold. They increase the gold cost by 100 is what I'm saying. So not going to really change anything. You're going to buy it the same amount of times, you're going to buy it in the same spots, you just get 2 less wards. But if you think about it, ADCs didn't buy wards anyways, so who cares? Gods, Balance, Amaterasu, Heavenly Reflection, so they're going to decrease the mana cost by 10 at all ranks, I was about to say 20, and decrease the cooldown from 14 to 12 seconds. So this is her main damaging ability, this is her clear, this is the ability you normally max first if you're like a soul laner or whatever else. And yeah, it's just your main damage ability, the cooldown goes down on it. It's not quite a 12-second cooldown because you have to charge it up, so it's more like a anywhere from like a 14 to 17-second cooldown, depending on how fast it charges up. But anyway, still a nice quality of life buff for Ama. She hasn't been played too much, but she's not necessarily horrible either, so we'll see where that puts her. She's kind of middle of the pack. Ardio, decreased base health per level from 100 to 95. A lot of people still think Ardio is super broken, and her kit obviously is still really good. So I guess her casual win rate or whatever, her ranked win rate is still a bit high, so they're just going to knock her down a little bit. 5 health per level, only 100 in the end game when she's level 20. Not too big of a deal. Yeah, I don't know. I think just like a good little tweak. I don't really have any more thoughts on that. Guan Yu, mana cost on his Conviction, his heal is now 60 at all ranks. Actually a huge deal. And then increases mana per level by 3. This one, not so big of a deal. Just, you know, 60 more mana at level 20. Not really, you know, whatever. It's one more heal, I guess. So he doesn't have to worry. The main thing about this is if you were like a support and you're maxing, I guess soul laners probably do it as well, but you would normally max your heal after your 3. And in the mid-game, if you didn't have enough, like, MP5 or mana in your build at that point, you would go like, every single team fight extremely quickly, and especially if you're, like, a jungler or a support Guan Yu, you would just straight run out of mana because you don't have blue buffs. So this should help that a lot, because normally you're casting your heal, you know, at least, like, 3 times in a fight, probably more, and then you're casting it to, like, reduce poke on your teammates and stuff like that. So overall, a good buff. I don't think it really... It's not going to make Guan Yu OP or anything like that, but a nice quality of life buff for Guan. Izanami decreased her stealth duration from 4 to 6 down to 3 to 5. So, you know, she just isn't invisible as long. So, yeah, I mean, there you go. Dark Portal, this is the main nerf that hurts Izzy. Reduce damage from 250 to 650 to 220 to 620, so 30 damage at all ranks. Decrease the physical power scaling from 130 to 100%. This is a big deal. It'll hit a lot less hard. You know, 30 base damage and 30% scaling. 30% scaling really hurts. And then decrease the silence duration by 0.4 seconds at all ranks, I think. Or no, just 0.4 seconds at the end, and then they change the way it scales in between. But yeah, nothing too crazy. Humakarna, you already had the attack speed slow change. Epic Uppercut, adjusted cooldown from 90 to 70 to 75 seconds at all ranks. Increased and adjusted audio for this ability. I don't think that really matters. Poseidon, increased movement speed from 5 to 25% to 10 to 30%. So this is actually a pretty interesting buff for Poseidon, because he's one of those mages that don't have like a dash or a jump, obviously, so the movement speed on this ability is very valuable to him. They've done a lot of these type of buffs in the past, particularly you would see like Raw passive last year got buffed so his uptime on his movement speed was better, and you could keep that stacked for longer. Vulcan's new passive or newer passive, whenever they change that, also has movement speed. So those type of gods are able to kite a lot more, so Poseidon will get the same sort of treatment. And then release the Kraken. It does... You can read all this text. Basically, all this says is they changed it so that your Kraken used to do 35% of its damage on the outside and 65 or 55, whatever the math is, 65%. Yeah, I was right the first time. I don't know why I guessed myself. It would be 65% on the inside, so if you hit them on the center of the Kraken, it would do 65 plus the 35. Now, if you hit them in the center, it'll do 50 and 50, so it'll still be the same 100% of the damage. The difference is, if you only hit someone on the outside, like if you hit a secondary target or something, they'll take more damage, and then also the total damage of the Kraken has increased by 20. So you'll do more area damage, and you'll do more damage in general. So just a nice Poseidon buff. And then Raijin, a small nerf, but just made his 1 harder to hit. A lot of people thought the 6 units was way too big, so it goes down to 4.5 units. This is actually the slowest it's been, I believe. I think I've had people tell me that, so might be a lot harder to guarantee your 1 damage from Percussive Storm than just some other, you know, visual effects and stuff like that with Raiju. And then Zeus, I believe, is the last change. Aegis Assault, its static AoE will now be triggered when the Aegis is hit by Zeus's Chain Lightning. This, they don't have it written here, but it is a one-time thing. So basically, if you put your 2 down on the wave, and then you auto-attack it, it'll do that pulse. Now when you 2, and then you 1 it, you Chain Lightning it, it'll also do that pulse, but only for the first Chain Lightning hitting it. So now you can clear a lot quicker at level 2 in jungle camps or whatever. And then Chain Lightning gets 10% more scaling, so Zeus is going to be doing a lot more damage. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty significant patch. And I will see you guys later on the next time. Peace out.